What if I told you that Pluribus' second episode is genius, not just for the story, but for the hidden details that creator Vince Gilligan carefully put into every scene? For instance, aircraft appear constantly throughout this episode. Zosia pilots a plane to New Mexico, survivors fly commercial planes to Spain, a helicopter drops an excavator into Carol's yard, and if you think about the sound that aircraft makes, that constant humming of engines and propellers, it's the same sound bees make with their wings. The hive mind of humanity is literally buzzing. Or Carol's yellow jacket from episode 1 and larger association with the color yellow. Maybe they're portraying Carol as a literal yellow jacket. Yellow jackets aren't bees. They're predatory wasps that infiltrate bee colonies and destroy them from the inside, hinting that Carol is a threat to the hive. These touches are deliberately placed by the filmmakers, and once you see them, you can't unsee them. And once you notice them, you can't help but wonder, why? What are the filmmakers trying to say with these visual metaphors? There's many details present in Pluribus' second episode that really unifies what this show is trying to say. To show you what I mean, let's start with one recurring motif, and that's music. In episode 1, I mentioned music as a possible motif in Pluribus, and in episode 2, we see this represented in the opening title sequence. We hear a voice begin to sing, then other voices join in, and white dots appear, forming ripples resembling waves in the ocean. Then we zoom out and see Pluribus appear on screen, made of individual white dots to form a collective word. Music really is a perfect metaphor for this show. Think about what music does. When you sing with someone, you're blending your voice with theirs to create a sound that only exists because you're singing together. You're creating harmony, which is really what Earth looks like post-virus. The opening sequence with Zosia really accentuates this. It's weird looking at the city behind her on fire without hearing ambulances, screaming, or other noises associated with emergency. It looks like a disaster, but there's a strange peacefulness or harmony to what we're seeing. Harmony comes from the Greek word harmos, which literally means joint, which was later converted into a Latin word harmonia, meaning joining. At the survivor dinner, Zosia calls what's happened to humanity as the joining.
Our joining is very much the antithesis of slavery,
Which plays right into what harmony means at the root level. I didn't realize this until later, but Carol's name is Carol, like a Christmas carol or song. And in episode 1, the scientists throwing the blue football to each other ponder what the radio signal could be.
What did we put on Voyagers 1 and 2? Chuck Berry? Maybe this is just their version of Johnny Be Good.
Even though the signal isn't in fact a song, it functions a lot like one, bringing people together to all sing the same tune and be of the same mind. In my first Pluribus video, I talked about this book we see at the airport called Go Tell the Bees That I Am Gone. Bees are a huge motif in this show, and before I get into that more, just think about the sound that bees make. Their wings make a humming sound that easily blends together in our ears, which brings us to planes. In episode 2, and really Pluribus as a whole, planes and aircraft like drones and helicopters are a huge part of the story. Zosia flies a plane to New Mexico. The survivors fly on planes to their reunion in Spain. They drop an excavator into Carol's yard with a helicopter. They spy on Carol using a Reaper drone.
Where are you watching me from?
An MQ-9 Reaper?
A what?
It's an Air Force drone? It's...
Pumbaa flies on Air Force One for crying out loud, and if you remember, the virus is distributed in episode 1 via airplanes. So what does it mean? Well, for me, the most basic explanation is that it represents the hive that humanity now represents. Bees fly, right? Their wings also make a certain buzzing or humming sound. Planes, helicopters, and especially drones do the exact same thing. An airport could represent a hive of sorts as well, with planes taking off, arriving, going to their gates, and acting as a hub for traveling humans, like a nest. Real quick, consider subscribing to my Substack. I publish the written versions of these essays there, along with movie reviews and thoughts on stuff I'm watching that doesn't make it into my YouTube videos. The name is Filmalysis, and the link is in the description if you want to subscribe. Let's talk more about bees. Carol wears a yellow jacket in episode 1, something commenter Mark Stipulkowski mentioned in a comment on my last video. He wrote, "Yellow, Carol's color, is the color of a wasp that in nature invades beehives. Her clothing color choices represent whether she is in wasp mode or being subdued by the hive. Mark was absolutely right. Yellow jackets are predatory wasps that attack honeybee colonies. And here's what makes it even more perfect. Yellow jackets need meat to feed their larvae. Bees are vegetarians who eat pollen and nectar.
So you are vegetarian?
That would be our preference, yes.
Remember what Zosia tells Carol? Her negative emotions can affect the hive. They can make people freeze up and even kill them. Carol's anger and grief are literally toxic to the collective, just like how a yellow jacket signals danger and death to a bee colony. But there's something else that makes this metaphor perfect. The hive can't kill her. Honeybees, they're gentle. They don't attack unless you directly threaten their hive, and even then, they pay for it with their lives because their stingers are barbed. The hive tells Carol they don't kill.
We don't kill.
In the dinner scene, one of the survivors asks Zosia whether they would kill a wasp that landed on their skin.
A wasp, even. If it's about to sting, you don't kill it?
No.
This is a clear reference and maybe even foreshadowing to Carol being successful in destroying the hive mind. One thing I tracked obsessively while watching episode 2 were these blue and yellow colors that appear in many scenes, like the yellow buildings in Zosia's hometown, or this yellow and blue truck that collects human bodies at the start of the episode, or the yellow gloves that Carol wears to handle the pickaxe, or the yellow flowers in Carol's garden, the yellow champagne they drink inside Air Force One, the amber bottle that Carol picks up after waking up in Spain, the yellow lighting inside her room here. And then there's blue everywhere. The truck with blue accents at the start of the episode, the blue car Zosia drives to visit Carol, the blue Aquafina bottle Zosia offers Carol, blue seats on the commercial plane Carol uses, this blue tape around Carol's fingers. Air Force One sports blue and yellow colors outside and inside. The colors of the glasses used at this Last Supper type meal are blue as well. Yellow fits perfectly with our bees motif. It represents yellow jackets and bumblebees, but also sun, warmth, photosynthesis, and life. The truck at the beginning of the episode that they use to transport bodies has a sun on the side of it, and there's a shot here of Zosia piloting the plane with the sun gleaming in the background. At this Last Supper gathering, the sun touches Carol here at the end of the table, leaving everybody else in darkness. Let me introduce another motif that ties into the sun, bees, and larger symbolism at work in Pluribus, and that's one of flowers. Flowers are everywhere in this episode and show up in key moments of later episodes too. For instance, the flowers on this dead guy's shirt, or the yellow and white flowers in Carol's garden that she throws up in front of, or the pink flowers Carol places on Helen's grave. There's also red flowers on this Chinese woman's jacket, and when Zosia arrives in New Mexico, they open a flower-shaped makeup container to use in preparation. Then we have what looks like flower designs on Carol's outdoor lights. And here's the obvious connection I haven't fully developed yet. Bees pollinate flowers. Very mild spoiler alert, but in a later episode, Carol steals this painting of a white flower from a nearby museum and puts it on her wall. Could Carol be representing many things at once? A yellow jacket that's a threat to the hive, but also a flower that the hive is trying to pollinate? The hive is spreading, moving from flower to flower, person to person, trying to pollinate them. Getting back to our talk on color theory, yellow could also represent honey. The way honey is made actually connects to Pluribus as well. Back at the hive, bees regurgitate the nectar they've collected from plants mouth to mouth to other worker bees, which add enzymes to it and reduces water. Blue, on the other hand, has a very special significance for bees. Blue and purple are the color bees are most attracted to because flowers in this spectrum often provide abundant nectar and pollen. I love how purple fits into this as well. Purple is very significant for Carol's Waikaro books, as I talked about in episode 1. Maybe Carol's association with purple, a color that bees can't resist, shows how she's the ultimate flower, the thing bees are most attracted to. The hive can't resist trying to pollinate her. There's another prop in this episode that I think is a visual callback to what this show is about. When Carol wraps Helen's body for burial, she uses this beautiful blanket, and I want you to really look at it. It's made of little square pieces stitched together. It is a patchwork quilt. Each square is different. You can see the individual pieces, but together they form one complete blanket. This directly parallels the title sequence I mentioned earlier, those individual white dots that form the letters of Pluribus. Each dot is visible. Each square in the blanket is visible too. The individual pieces don't disappear, but they all add up to serve as one part of a whole. It's a perfect metaphor for the ideas this show is wrestling with. Let's talk about Zosia. I don't know about you, but the opening of episode 2 felt like watching a prophet emerging from the desert. This woman in yellowish orange robes, which looks like something people from 2,000 years ago wore, walks through a burning Middle Eastern landscape, pulls a body from some wreckage, and then travels by plane to reach Carol. And she arrives at Carol's door with this serene, otherworldly calm. Nothing phases her. Roads open up for her. The Hive chose Zosia to make Carol happy and hopefully convert her into one of them. The Hive functions exactly like a religion. All they want to do from day one is get Carol to join them. They show up at her doorstep multiple times, like certain religious groups we know. They promise paradise upon joining them. They created a sort of heaven on earth that Carol gets to experience, and they evangelize, spreading the good news to everyone. But they also operate a lot like a god. They're everywhere, another way to say omnipresent. They're all-knowing or omniscient, and they're all powerful or omnipotent, able to do anything Carol wants, including restock an entire grocery store in a few hours in episode 3. It's clear that through this hive mind virus, humanity operates like a god, and this hive mind spreads like a religion too. Speaking of religious parallels, did you catch how many survivors there are?
How many people like me in the world did you say? 11 others?
Actually, now there are 12.
12 plus Carol. That's 12 people who the Hive is trying to convert, led by one woman who resists. Jesus also had 12 apostles. Is Carol a Jesus-type figure in the show? It's clear she's the one leading the resistance, which the filmmakers tried to show by framing her in front of the presidential seal here and putting her at the head of the table inside Air Force One. There's also a scene in Spain where all the survivors sit together for a meal. It looks like Da Vinci's The Last Supper painting a little bit. I'm not sure if this is the message Vince Gilligan was going for, but I do think that, even if only inadvertently, the parallels to religion in Pluribus are strong and worth noting. What did you notice in Pluribus episode 2? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you like this video, subscribe to my channel. I like analyzing prestige TV shows and movies, and I'll continue making videos on every episode of Pluribus until the season 1 finale. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.